friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be sharing my best of Olive Ab polish. So I had gotten a couple of requests to share my top picks and favorites from Olive Ab for the next installment of my best of series. In case you are new to my channel, this best of is a little mini series where it's basically my brand favorites. But I also do share some things I don't like about the brand if it's applicable, because spoiler alert, I don't think there's a lot of things I don't like about Olive Ab. I generally am a huge fan of Walker and her brand and her polishes. So without further ado, let me show you my favorites. So when it comes to the nail care and essentials, I have 4 of the Olive Ab products. I have their Nourishing base coat, 2 of their top coats, and a cuticle oil. And I figured I can just talk about each of them because I generally have had a really good experience with them for the most part. Starting with the Nourishing base coat, I really love this one. Like, you probably can't tell from this shot, but it's about halfway, a little bit more than halfway filled. It's just one of those base coats that really feels nice. So I've definitely reached for this after my nails have gotten like beaten up, doing a lot of swatches, using a lot of acetone. This just feels so nice. And I actually do love this kind of like milky color. It is pretty like white-ish, but I find that it's a nice enough color that it does brighten up your nails without washing them out, if that makes sense. So next, for their top coats, Olive Ab has 2. They have their quick dry top coat and then a matte top coat. So starting with the quick dry one, I wish I could say that I loved this product a lot, but I like it. It's not my favorite, but I will still use it occasionally. It could just be a body chemistry thing that it just doesn't work for me, because I have read amazing reviews about this product and seen so many people that, you know, love this and stand by this top coat. But I just find it doesn't dry down as quick as other quick dry top coats for me personally. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not one to really like dive into the ingredients and compare them. Aside from it not drying down as fast as I would like it to, I find that this top coat has always smudged my nail art, even when I wait several minutes past the time that I normally do to use it. I don't know what it is about it. Like, I try to be careful to, you know, float my brush and everything, but I just noticed it a couple of times. And so maybe this would be better for just solid color manicures. The only thing I really do like about the top coat is that it comes with a wide brush, which I think makes application so much better. I specifically love Olive Ab brushes. I feel like I've talked about that so much whenever I review their collections. They are just like the perfect fan paddle kind of shape that perfectly hugs my cuticle, leaves little room for like messes, even though I'm just a generally messy kind of swatcher. It's just a really nice brush. The top coat that I do recommend though is their matte top coat. And if you know me, you know that I don't really talk about matte nails a lot. It's not really my favorite kind of finish or anything, but when I want matte nails, I want it to be matte. I want it to be, say it with me, negative shine, like nothing. There's nothing that I hate more than a top coat that is advertised to be a matte top coat, but then there's still a little bit of a shine. I do not want it. This is matte. This is like your negative shine kind of top coat. I know practically speaking, it's not really gonna be durable. I admittedly haven't done like a wear test, and matte nails tend to chip faster. If you are willing to put up with like a matte polish, even if it chips in, you know, a couple days or something, I would recommend this one because this one is matte. And the last nail care product that I have is the Almond cuticle oil. And you can probably tell from my bottle that mine is still relatively full. I admittedly don't reach for this one as often as I do my other oils, but it's not to say that it is a bad product or anything. It's definitely very lightweight and absorbs pretty quickly into your skin and nails, so you don't really have that like greasy feeling. I don't always love the types of cuticle oils that come in the nail polish brushes because I end up just using a little too much oil. So a little bit goes a long way. You definitely don't need a lot with these types of products. I think the reason I don't really reach for it as often though is a mixture of a couple of things. One, I've just noticed that my nails, because they are so thin, bendy, and prone to peeling, they just kind of respond better to some different oils maybe. Like when I've used this, it is nice, but I don't really feel like a super nourishing kind of feeling from it. It's almost like a nice maintenance oil for like in between. But if my nails are suffering, then I would rather go with other oils. And the other reason is that this one is unscented, or there's like a light kind of almond scent, which is nice. It's not that I don't like that scent, but I just prefer the more like fruity type of scents. So all that being said, if you are somebody who wants a straightforward list of ingredients, nothing too complex or anything, and something that is a little bit like a lightly scented, because I don't think this is described as unscented, I would say this is a good product to try. So now getting into the catalog of what Olive Ave offers, they have a pretty limited, I'll say, selection of finishes. And what's super interesting is on the website, you can't really even sort by the finish. You can either sort by the color or by the season, which I absolutely love as a seasonal wearer. I think it is just so fun that Walker has that as a filter. But as far as the finishes she does offer, they are primarily cream polishes, and then some shimmers and holographics. So starting with the creams, this is easily the largest selection that I have, and I narrowed it down to 6 of them, 3 of the lighter kind of like spring colors, and then 3 of the more moody winter fall kind of shades. But generally Olive Ave creams are absolutely amazing. They have such beautiful formulas. There is a little bit of variance between the cream formulas, where some are a little bit on the crelly side, where the first coat is a little bit squishy or sheer, but it's perfectly even on 2 coats. And then there are other creams that are a lot more of that creamy full coverage kind of feeling, especially on the first coat alone. I wanted to start by talking about Sunshine, because sadly this one is going to be retired, and I am debating grabbing a backup bottle because it is easily one of my favorite yellow polishes. This is just described as a sunny pastel yellow, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. It came out in last year's Deluge collection in the spring, and it just became such a favorite. Pastel yellows are pretty notoriously bad for having awful formulas. They just tend to be very patchy and streaky, and usually require 3 coats to be fully even and opaque because they are such light shades. But the first coat alone of this shade is just such a dream. It is just so impressive. It's not chalky like other pastels can be, and it just has really great coverage, and I just love the color of this one so much. It's just so cute. Like, yellow is just such a happy color, and this one is adorable. So if you don't have a pastel yellow already, or you have one that has maybe a bad formula, I would recommend getting this one before it's gone. These next 2 I have are definitely some of my top 2 Olive Ave polishes ever, which you can probably tell by the fill lines in them, but they are Peony and Lilac, and these actually both came out in the same collection a couple of years ago in the spring. Like Sunshine, these 2 have absolutely beautiful formulas, just so satisfying to paint with. Peony is just like your classic peachy pink kind of pastel shade. I just think it is so flattering, so romantic, especially in the springtime. And Lilac is described as a true lilac that is perfectly in between a purple and a blue. And this is just one of those beautiful like periwinkle kind of shades, which I absolutely love also, and is just one of my favorites. I haven't done my favorite periwinkles yet, but don't be surprised if you see this one there. The next shade I have is Hayride, and this one might be surprising because it is a relatively new polish to my collection. I only picked it up a couple of months ago, but it has quickly become a staple when it comes to fall colors. And this is coming from someone who is not the biggest fan of the typical caramel kind of shades. This is described as a light caramel, but I just find this to be such a flattering shade, because normally I kind of associate fall with a lot of like ugly pretty colors, and I normally just would say that they're ugly, but this one to me is like a very pretty color. I wouldn't even call it ugly pretty, it's just very pretty. So if you are on the fence about like caramel sort of shades, I think this is such a beautiful one to try. I think like the more true caramel would be like Sienna, which is a little bit darker than this one. So between the two, I love this one. Next, I have Middle of the Night, which is abbreviated as MOTN. This one is also relatively new. It's even newer than Hayride because this came out in the recent fall Kaleidoscope collection, and it just quickly became a favorite because I love navy blues in the fall, and I just love the tone that this one has, where there's like a little bit of this kind of like purpley gray under there. It's just muted. It's just so perfect. I feel like this is one of those shades that does look really bright or vibrant on camera, like the level of blue that it has. I just love how deep and moody this one is. It is so freaking pretty, and I know I'm gonna love it so much this winter. My last favorite cream is Pebble, and this one came out a few years ago at this point. I think it was part of a duo at the time, but this one is a purpley gray cream. It is just so freaking pretty. I just love these types of shades so much. I don't know what you would call them. I'm not sure if aubergine is like the right color descriptor. I'm just such a sucker for the really dark and muted red leaning purples. I think they are so beautiful, so flattering, especially in the fall season or just like the colder months in general. Walker did release another purple like that with the most recent fall collection. I think it was called Gaze, and that one is darker than this one. So honestly, you can't go wrong with either. I think I just have like a little bit more nostalgia with Pebble, but they are all so gorgeous. So like I mentioned, you really can't go wrong with the majority of Olive Ave creams. All the ones that I shared here are more of that creamy kind of formula that's very opaque and pigmented and even coverage on the first coat alone. But I still am a fan of the other shades that are a little bit more on like the crelly side. The one that stands out to me the most right now is Zinc, which came out in last year's fall collection. It is just such a beautiful shade of green. Honestly, let's just talk about it now because I'm not going to refilm all of them just to fit it in the lineup. Zinc is so pretty, okay? You need this if you are a green lover, especially with blue leaning greens. This is obviously not teal. There's definitely a lot of like gray to it. It's almost in between a gray and a green, and it is so pretty. I love this color so much just in general, and having it as a nail polish is just beautiful. But yeah, this is another one that I have to say you need. So now getting into the shimmers, I have 4, and I figured these would be so cute to talk about in like seasonal order. Like I mentioned in the intro, Walker actually has a filter on her website where you can sort the polishes by season, which I think is so fun. Obviously, some of the shades are gonna have some overlap, like there are polishes you can wear in the spring and summer or fall and winter, but I think these can really fit each individual season very well and might have some overlap depending on your taste. So starting with spring, my favorite spring shimmer is Calla Lily. It is this super gorgeous minty pastel green with this gold shimmer, and if you watched my favorite shimmers video, you know I am a sucker for gold shimmers, and having it in this green base I think is just so pretty and so magical. It just reminds me of like Tinkerbell. This one has a really nice formula too, where it's pretty much opaque on me on 2 coats. It is a little bit lighter and again on that slightly crelly side, so you might need a 3rd depending on your preference. Then for summer, this should be no surprise, my favorite is Lisa. This is a hot pink cream with this bright blue kind of shimmer. It is just so in your face, absolutely perfect for the summer months. You know I'm a big fan of hot pink nails, especially in the summertime, and this is easily one of my top favorites, and also just a top favorite of all of my Olive Aves. Like if you only had to pick one, limiting to the summertime, I would pick Lisa. It has another amazing formula where it is like almost opaque on the first coat. It is just a little bit sheer, but it builds up perfectly into. Then for the fall, I love Sumac. This one came out, I believe, last year in the fall collection, and it is a deep burgundy wine kind of cream. Actually, no, it's not a cream. It's more of like a metallic finish. I just love shades like this for the fall. I think it is an absolute must-have. And the formula is amazing too. Because it's like the metallic kind of formula, they're usually opaque on me on one coat, but you might need to. And lastly, for my winter shimmer, I have Flora, and this is just such a beautiful, icy, iridescent kind of shimmer that is so magical. You can see in the bottle, it has like a very white, milky kind of base color. But I think on the first coat, it is sheer enough to use it as a topper. I just personally like never do that. I really love building it up on its own because I just cannot get over the shimmer. It is just so pretty. Like in a way, it reminds me of moonstone or opal or something like that. I just think it is absolutely gorgeous once it's built up in 3 coats. Like a little bit of nail line that you see because again, it's like a milky sheer white polish. But yeah, this one is so magical. And the last category for Olive Ave is their holographics. And if you've watched some of my Olive Ave videos before, you probably remember me mentioning I don't usually love their holographics. They just don't have the same intense rainbow flare that you get from other brands, but they do have a subtle rainbow sparkle. Even though it's subtle, I do think it is a pretty holographic effect. I mean, I've mentioned it several times on my channel. I'm not always one for the intense linear holos, so I have really come to appreciate the subtleness of them in Olive Ave's. As long as you're aware of that going into getting them, I don't think you will be disappointed because they are still really beautiful colors. My first favorite and top recommendation should not be a surprise. It is Raindrop, and this one came out a couple of years ago in the Spring Deluge collection. It is just such a beautiful, dusty peacock blue with this really pretty scattered holographic glitter that I think is actually gold, because in certain angles you see these pops of gold, but it's not an additional shimmer. It is just such a pretty shade. I just cannot recommend this one enough. Then for the linear holographics, the first one that I have is Sequoia, which is this super dark brown, almost like espresso kind of shade with this really beautiful holographic effect. And this is the one that I would highly recommend because it is the most hollow. It is gonna be hard to see because I unfortunately don't have clips of these in direct sunlight, at least not at the time of this recording, but I definitely would recommend this one if you do want a little bit more of that rainbow pop. It just really stands out in this darker base color. And this one also has such an impeccable formula where I've gotten away with it in one coat before. So I think if you have shorter nails, this is like an easy one coater. And the last holo I have is the newest one from the Fall Kaleidoscope collection. This one is Ginger, and it is just this absolutely gorgeous orange cream with a very subtle holographic sparkle. I feel like it just ends up looking like a silvery colored shimmer. And normally, while I don't love the fact that I don't see any of the rainbows, I actually do love the combination in this shade in particular, because when I first reviewed it a couple of months ago, it just immediately reminded me of cinnamon sugar, just all the pumpkin spice kind of vibes, and I just really love that about this one. I think it is just such a cozy shade, especially for this time of year. An orange that is super deep, but still very flattering. So that wraps up my best of Olive Ave polish. So hopefully you enjoyed my picks. Please let me know what favorites we have in common or what shades you're excited to pick up this Black Friday season. As a reminder, I am an affiliate with Olive Ave, so if you do want to shop any of these shades or any of the other shades available on her website, You can use my link in the description box down below or use my code YOGI10 to support me and my channel. A big thank you to everyone who has used my code before and who will use it this season. I appreciate it so much. Make sure to let me know what you're gonna be grabbing, what's on your wish list for Olive Ave. I do hope you enjoyed this little mini series. It's probably gonna be my last installment for a while. Definitely the last one before the Black Friday season, but I just don't know if it is worth continuing because I don't have a lot of other brands that I can make a big enough video for. Like the brands that I covered so far, I have a pretty sizable collection of each of them because I got them in PR. My collection before then was just very mismatched and just, you know, a couple of shades here, a couple shades there from each brand. So yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to continue it anytime soon, but I do appreciate the support and hopefully I can continue at least doing some new brand reviews because I've had fun trying a bunch of new brands this past year already. So hopefully you enjoy those. But yeah, I would love to know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.